At the beginning of this week, when I read these scriptures, these huge metaphors in them, all about plucking out your eye, cutting off your foot, being drowned in the ocean, I thought, oh no, I'd rather talk about stewardship. But then, I kind of caught a vision for it, and I got more excited about it. So, let me tell you a few stories, and they will lead right back into those metaphors, I promise. Some of these I know I told you before, but they're so powerful in my own life. I'll share them with you again, and you probably forgot the story anyway. So, it was a long time ago when I was about 8 years old. My dad had just retired from the Air Force, and he had his first job in a submarine construction company, a military contract in Pascagoula, Mississippi. I was going to say it's probably not the cultural center of the world, but some of you might take offense to that now that you have applauded. It was a little tiny town, right on the coast, right on the Gulf Coast. So when all these hurricanes come through Mississippi, Pascagoula and Biloxi, those are the towns that get it. So it was a small town, and near our house was a small store by itself, kind of a country store, a little closer than the malls, or a little closer than the chain stores. And it was owned by somebody in the local area. And to make a long story short, I have two brothers. At the time I had two brothers, and one of them was always getting in trouble, and the other one just never got caught. And the one who got in trouble a lot, his name was Steve. Somehow he got crossways with the owner of the store, this little country store. And in Pascagoula, it's a small town, the kind of town where you kind of handle your own business. If something goes wrong, you don't really have to call the cops. You just kind of work it out. And so Steve, I think, got in trouble with the store owner, and the store owner was trying to kind of work it out. I don't know what Steve did. He probably did something. I don't know if he sassed him, and Steve was about 15 or so. I don't know if he said something to him, or maybe he shoplifted something or other, and he got caught. I don't know. But the guy said, well, don't come back to the store, and if I catch you, I will do you bodily harm. Put it that way. And it just so happens that owner of the store had a reputation for having been a boxer, professional boxer, or Golden Glove boxer. So, when the word got back to my dad, somehow it did, of course he was mad at Steve for whatever Steve did. But my dad, being my dad, and knowing this guy had been a professional fighter, and thought that he was going to take on his son, who was like 15. Well, he went down and straightened things out with the store owner. It's funny, I was just recently going through my garage, and I found this box of medals that my dad had from the military days, and all of his insignia from his whole career. He's got one little insignia, one little pin, and it says that he had made a marksman of some degree of success with pistols, I believe. He was a pretty good shooter. So I know that my dad, just having got out of the military, he went down to the store, said, you may be a boxer, but you stay away from my son. I may go to jail, but you may not get up. That's how I played it in my head. I wasn't there. But I think that's what happened. And I'm sure Steve never went by the store, and I'm sure the boxer had nothing to do with our family. Because my dad was very protective of his kids, like a lot of dads are, like a lot of parents are, very protective. So I hear these stories that Jesus tells about his little ones. That's what he calls you and me. He calls the disciples, you're the little ones. the ones who are just getting started as disciples. You're just getting started as students. You're just starting your walk with God. You're just following Jesus early on. You get the sense that these little ones, they're fragile. They're 15-year-olds. They don't know what they're doing at the time. They're always getting in trouble. Some of you are not getting caught, but you're still getting in trouble. And I look at these metaphors and say, when Jesus says, if you mess up one of my disciples, if you make them fall, it'd be way better for you that you had a big rock tied around your neck and you were thrown in the ocean than if you could catch me messing with one of my disciples. This reminded me of my dad. He also says at the very beginning, if any of you help one of my little ones, if you give one of my little ones a little cup of water just because they're a disciple, you will not lose your reward. If you help them just a little bit, thank you so much. If you mess with them a little bit, you don't want to meet me. And then he goes on. We'll get to that in a minute. The same thing happened to me. I had two older brothers. I was the younger one in the family. And there was a time when I used to go to the recreation center not far from my house in Virginia. And it was on the way to school. So I could walk to school and I could walk to this rec center. I played tennis there, basketball courts. It was a county-run recreation center. All the kids hung out there. Fun place. But it turned out that at one point, there was kind of a shady person from the high school, when I was still in elementary school and early middle school, a shady person from the high school who was selling drugs out of his van to people at the rec center. At least that was the rumor. So that got back to my family. So then my brothers decided to go to the recreation center. Have a little talk with the guy in the van. Make sure the guy in the van doesn't come back to the recreation center. See, I always grew up feeling very protected. I knew if there was trouble, my dad, my brothers, my mom, they could take care of business. They would watch over me. Of course, it also works the other way around. If they catch you doing something they think is stupid, they will make sure you know that. Like if they ever caught me doing drugs, much better that I get caught by the police than have my mom catch me with pot or my brother catch me with alcohol at too young an age. Much better that I get in trouble from the neighbors or anybody else except the family. Because they don't want me to stumble. They don't want me to get hurt. They don't want me to do something that's going to mess me up. So when Jesus says in those last three metaphors, he says, if you do anything that's going to keep yourself away from God, out of the kingdom of heaven, if you do anything to your own self, like your hand or your foot or your eye, much better that you have that part of you cut off than you miss out of your future. If you do something to yourself that's going to hurt you, Jesus will be mad at you too. The only really, it's not a very strong connection, but one of the ways I can relate to this is I don't have children, but I've got all these dogs, as you know. I started bringing my dogs to work. I got this one big dog everyone's afraid of, but he's afraid of everybody. He really is. So I bring him to church. I took him downstairs to see business people were downstairs. And this big dog, it looked like it would tear your head off, was so nervous it peed on the floor. Like, oh, God. Of course, that nice new wood floor, I shouldn't have told you all that. So I'm really mad at the dog already, which makes me even more nervous, of course. So I said, you come over here, and I'm mopping the floor up. And turns out the back door was left open downstairs. The back door of the church downstairs left open. The dogs are running around. That same dog runs out the back door. Oh, Lord. So I go out the back door, and Rich Skyver's down there. So, I'm sorry, I didn't leave the doors open. I said, no problem, I'll get the dog. And you know what I'm most worried about with the dog? Not that it's running around, but there's a highway there. I yell at that dog. His name's Butch. With my most aggressive, growly voice, I say, Butch, you come here now! I'm terrified. He's so freaked out, he's going to wind up dead. Of course, the more angry I sound, the more freaked out the dog is. Still, I couldn't control myself. I'm so afraid the dog's going to get hurt. So when I finally calmed down, I said, come here, Butch, come here, Butch. And then when he gets within arm reach, I said, I pushed him to the ground. I said, you never come out. Don't you ever go out that door. You come when you're called. Don't you know what's going to happen to you? He's so afraid. I pick him up. He must weigh 65 pounds. I pick him up and walk him back into the church. Close the door. Get upstairs. So when Jesus says in his, using these really strong words about how important it is for you not to stumble, not to fall, not to run out in the highway and get hurt. That's why he says stuff like, if you're going to do something that's going to hurt you, it'd be so much better for you just to cut off your hand, or pluck out your eye, or cut off your foot. I do not want you getting hurt. Jesus is just very protective of his disciples. I'm just saying. And that's really all I wanted to leave with you today. Just how protective God is of you. Anything that's going to hurt you, God is fierce. And Jesus, your brother, like your big brother, he will stand up for you. If somebody would help you out in the smallest way, like a cup of water, God and your brother Jesus are very happy. Somebody does something to cause you to stumble or fall or get hurt, better for a millstone to be hung around his neck and thrown into the sea. If you do something so dumb in your life it's going to mess you up, you do not want to bump into Jesus on a bad day. Because he cares very much about you and your life. And very much about you and your connection to God, and that you enter the kingdom of God, not when you die, but right now, right here, your relationship, that you feel connected and in relationship to the Father. Anything that would mess that up, cause you to stumble, Jesus is just very serious about that and very protective of you. Just because he doesn't want you to get hurt. I just want to offer that to you in the name of God. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.